Hey there, Leo, and welcome to your January 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these readings for artists, entrepreneurs, creatives, and anybody who's working on their self-expression in any form, as well as people who are working on their personal growth and spiritual development. So if any of those areas of life are particularly interesting to you right now, go ahead and keep listening. And I just want to remind you too that you can use these readings for your sun, moon, or your rising sign. So if this one doesn't resonate, you can always try one of your other signs. And also it's normal if sometimes none of them resonate, especially at the beginning of the month. Often what I hear from people is that as they go through the month, they actually start to remember aspects of the reading that didn't make sense, and it really does thematically connect to the things that are going on in their life. So just keep that in mind and maybe save this video for later so that you can come back and really see how some of these energies may have played out for you and if you're really connecting to the readings. So I'm going to go ahead and share the meditation message. It's always something that I do when I'm tuning in to each sign. And for you, Leo, I was getting this really funny message that kind of had me giggling a little bit, but at the same time it felt very creative and kind of a productive energy. So what I was actually seeing when I tuned in just intuitively is that I was seeing a person making a beekeeping box. And this felt to me like a symbol of setting something up or creating the conditions for some kind of manifestation to occur. And then I sort of heard this little voice in the background saying, in almost kind of like a mocking, like quoting kind of voice, like, if you build it, they will come. So I feel like that's really the basic message for you, Leo, as you go into 2020 in general, and especially this month. There's a sense of like really setting up the structures for people to come into your life that you want to have relationships with, whether that means building your platform or your fellowship, if you're building a business, or it could be, you know, creating the structures in your own personal life so that you can have more time with your friends or invite better, more quality friendships in, or even a romantic relationship. There's something here about like really thinking about what you desire, and I think you've already probably done that, Leo, in the last few weeks since we've had, you know, the new year recently and a new decade starting. There's probably been a lot of reflection going on, and I think that for you, mainly the message is just to continue to take those practical action steps to build and strengthen and fortify the situations that you want to encourage in your life, whether that is better personal relationships or work stuff, career stuff, creativity stuff. I think that you're really right on track, and it's just kind of like a green light message saying, keep doing this. If you build it, the situation will manifest. So just build the practical aspects. So I'm going to go ahead and tune into your cards now, and we'll get some more information. Okay. To see bees in the meditation as well, or like a beekeeping box, also to me signifies cooperation, you know, as a species. We're going to get some more information from your Animal Spirit Oracle cards, but I definitely feel the bee energy coming through, you know, regardless of whatever comes up in your literal cards. Let's take a look at the bottom. We have gazelle. You guys are getting a lot of animal messages today. So we've got deer as the path and wolf as the influence. Interesting that you also had gazelle at the bottom. So there's definitely a lot of that kind of tender energy that we see with these creatures. They're sensitive as well, and they're kind of nurturing, you know, mammalian energy. that we're seeing here. And then, you know, with the wolf, these are all, these two creatures are forest creatures. So they belong to the same kind of environment. And there is like a predator-prey relationship between them. So that does stand out to me as well. So what I'm getting with the deer as your path is that there's some kind of authentic desire that you have to serve others, Leo, at this time. And this is bringing out like a nurturing quality within you with the deer card. So whatever your goals are for 2020, in some way, this sense of activating your own nurturing qualities, or your own almost kind of, whether you're a male or female Leo, your mothering or almost parental qualities, your nurturing qualities are going to be emphasized on this journey towards manifesting that which you desire right now. So turning those on in the situations that merit them and warrant them is a big theme for you this year, but also, you know, primarily this month, is like, be willing to be a nurturer. And that could mean nurturing people in your life, people that you work with, people in your family or in your community. But it could also mean self-nurturing and as well kind of showing up with a sort of tender strength, right? With this deer card. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of sensitivity here. There's a lot of nurturing. There's a sense of wanting to contribute something that is heartfelt. And that's really an energy that's going to be conducive for you. It's going to help you achieve your goals. So take a look at your life. Even if you're not specifically a parent or even a business owner, how can you be more nurturing in practical ways in your life? Maybe that means, if you're a career person and you have, you know, people that you work with every day, maybe that means bringing in a little gift for the people at your office, or maybe that means staying an extra 15 minutes, you know, to have a deeper conversation with a coworker about whatever they want to talk about. You know, it's just this kind of quiet, gentle energy of being present that I think is going to really support you and help you to fit more productively into your environment. Now, the wolf card is the lesson that you're learning, and it's also kind of like the influencing energy. So there is a sense with the wolf card of leadership for sure. There's a sense of also being really committed to what your aim is or what your intentions are. So predator creatures are inherently like they're meeting their own needs. You can almost see in this face that his eyes feel really focused and at the same time like observant and curious of the environment. So there's a sense of like kind of balancing your needs, maybe financially, or the kind of like what's right for you, Leo, has to be honored, and you have to be willing to be an advocate on your own behalf. But then at the same time, you're kind of being asked to show up in a very nurturing and gentle and productive, constructive way with the people around you. So it's kind of balancing those things and finding that kind of connection between, you know, what's right for you and what's right for the people around you, and really finding like the coalescence of that, or like the connection between those two elements of your life or your focus. And I feel like this is actually a pretty harmonious energy, even though, like I said before, these are predator and prey, but there's something about this that feels like these are actually just two aspects of yourself which are being called into practice in your life. And that could look like being a strong leader in your own life or in your own family, and then at the same time being very nurturing and empathetic and communicative with others and being a great listener. So those are kind of like the aspects that we're seeing coming through most prominently. Let's take a look at your tarot cards to get some more specific insights. So we've got Temperance. So funny to see that because of the the push-pull of opposites between these cards, predator and prey, right? Wolf and deer. The Temperance card is a union of opposites card. It's about balancing and mitigating two opposing factors within yourself. So it's just really funny to see that. Thanks, universe, right? So we've got Temperance, Seven of Swords, the Star, Nine of Pentacles, the Empress, High Priestess, King of Wands, and Queen of Pentacles. Wow, wow, wow. This is a crazy reading. Lots of major arcana and multiple powerful court cards as well. So this is really significant. I love to see Temperance and the Star anytime they come up together, and the Empress and the High Priestess too. But there's a general kind of theme that I am starting to pick up here, Leo, that may feel almost like there's conflicting personalities in your life right now. There could be like people, you know, for example, the Empress and the High Priestess. In a way, I mean, they're both feminine archetypes in the major arcana, and they serve different like purposes of the divine feminine. They have different faces of the divine feminine, but they both kind of are anchors of that energy in the early numbered numbers, like the single digit numbers of the major arcana. So there could be some like themes of partnership coming through, of like complementary partnerships with someone who has a different maybe view on things, or someone who's maybe a little bit more internally focused, and then somebody who's a little bit more externally focused with like the Empress and the High Priestess. We also see that with the Queen of Pentacles over here and the King of Wands. See, she's kind of looking down, indicating like looking within, right? And he, which is the Leo card, Fixed Fire, which is your sign Leo, so this is the Leo card in the deck. This person is looking up and looking out at opportunities, looking in a dynamic viewpoint of life, whereas the Queen of Pentacles is kind of looking inward, being soft and quiet within herself, and really feeling things through sensationally based, sense-based. Whereas we could almost draw like a similar kind of somewhat similar energy. I mean, these are archetypal forces with the Empress and the High Priestess. These are not personal forces in any way, but the High Priestess is all the inner realm and the unconscious, and we see this curtain behind her covering up part of the water, and you can't see what's underneath the water, so there's like this depth there that is unseen. And then in the Empress, we see this more kind of earthy-based relationship with reality, where it's not necessarily about the unconscious mind and what's at the watery depths of your psyche. It's more about what you can see and smell and taste and touch in this moment, right? So that's kind of how she interacts with the world, is through her conscious sensations of things. So I'm just kind of briefly giving you an overview of like the complementary energies that are highlighted when these cards kind of come up in these groupings, okay? And here we see a similar thing. We see the very thickly dressed, luxurious, kind of dressed to the nines, which is funny because she's literally a 9 card, dressed to the nines, really luxurious gown here and hat and brooch, and you know, everything is just like wow, you know, very, very coveted, very kind of bejeweled, very much embodied with like her garments. And then we see over here this naked star, you know, which is more of an archetypal image, not necessarily a real image of a woman, but it's like this archetypal energy of being kind of vulnerable to the fullest extent, being absolutely like pure and naked and kind of deeply removed from like any of the trappings of the material world. But there's like a spiritual purpose to that. You know, we get the sense almost of a ritual that's being done here, like or a soothing, you know, a self-soothing process that's happening. So basically what I'm seeing in these cards is that it feels like there's two different energies, or at least two different people involved in a situation in your life, and it feels like you both have good points, or you both have things to offer. And then maybe this could be like a business partnership situation where you're considering working with someone, or maybe you are working with someone, or this could be dynamics that show up in like a romantic partnership as well. But the message here is to really embrace each other's strengths and to really value them, because there is the possibility, I think, with this spread, that if you try and do things alone right now, Leo, I feel like you're gonna possibly struggle more than you need to. So that's kind of like the overall general message that I get from these. Taking a look at looking at the messages from a week by week standpoint, which is something that I always like to do for you guys, to kind of break down when certain opportunities could be coming through, or when certain challenges could be experienced. It looks like, you're going into the year with a lot of intention to kind of stay balanced, and you're going into the year with a certain sense of peacefulness and inner calm, and that's your intention. But there's this immediate kind of, I guess I want to say, like, thing that you're kind of having to face, which is the Seven of Swords. And so this can mean either trying to be a lone wolf, which is, like, again, kind of hinting back at this wolf card that you got. It could mean that you're kind of trying to be too much of a lone wolf in some way. And as a result of that, there's a need, especially around this lunar eclipse, which is happening in Cancer, so that's actually your 12th house, and the stellium in Capricorn is in your 6th house. So you have this kind of stellium in the 6th, and you have this lunar eclipse in the 12th. This is very deep energy. A lot of this energy has to do with self-healing. A lot of this has to do with your own spiritual beliefs and your spiritual development with the 12th house. And so there's, again, this like kind of juxtaposition, right? Like with the astrology, where the 12th house is very kind of a watery house. It's a very deep and mysterious house. It's kind of like the closet of your chart. It's where your internal experiences happen. It's where your unconscious mind sort of is symbolically represented. So having this lunar eclipse there really fits in with the star energy. But then the 6th house has to do with your health. It has to do with work and the efforts that you put out, and kind of like the challenges that your work and career bring into your life. It's a very like kind of practical house that has to do with everyday issues and everyday struggles and everyday chores and things like that. So the fact that you're having this kind of major stellium going on in the 6th, while you're also having this lunar eclipse, opposing that energy, I feel that really what these cards are saying is that there is some kind of a tension that you're kind of having to experience right now that has to do with what your deepest self wants, right, with the 12th house, and what processes you're going through psychologically, what changes you're going through at the deepest levels of who you are, and how those are kind of either rallying against or creating tension with the responsibilities that you have on a daily basis. And so I do see you succeeding with this, because you have the Star card and the Nine of Pentacles, right? Which is great. I mean, this is a great card. This is an amazing card for success and abundance when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's a very strong card for women in particular with both of these energies, but if you're a Leo male, this is also for you. It's about really seeing the benefits of your actions and really kind of putting a lot of work in. Obviously with the Nine of Pentacles, this is an image of a self-made person, but it's coming through this 12th house stuff, because that's where you're having this lunar eclipse in this particular week of the month. So it's about really tuning into this aspect of you, the star, really being kind of naked with yourself, like pure unto yourself, and being aware of what intuitions, what inclinations, what impulses are coming from that very deep, vulnerable place within yourself, and then seeing how you can actually put those intuitions to practical use, and how you can show up in practical ways in the world with the help of this part of you with the help of that kind of mysterious, almost kind of indwelling psychic powerhouse that you have. And so that's kind of where things are coming from in terms of your answers and in terms of your decision making. I feel this month in January, it's all going to come back to what you really are getting on the deepest level of who you are. So, and that may involve, like I was saying before, either partnering with somebody who is maybe a little bit more, in some ways, this person could be a little bit more on the practical end of things, and you're kind of like the fire spark, dynamic, creative, big idea haver. And then this other person that you could be partnering with, like maybe by the end of the month, is somebody who is very skilled and very practical and very sort of knowledgeable and has a lot of expertise. But they would maybe move, if it was up to them, they would move a little slower in things. That could be a dynamic that comes into play between you. But ultimately, I do kind of feel like with these cards at the end of the month, you are kind of working together because they're both kind of facing the same direction. And she's even wearing almost the same color as this person on the King of Wands. So I do feel that there is some kind of practical working relationship that could evolve by the end of January for many of you Leos. And I feel like it's with somebody who you feel their strengths are going to complement your strengths. So I see that potentially coming through as something that you're either thinking about or finalizing, or maybe working with somebody as a mentor by the end of the month. And I think that this person's going to have a very positive effect on you. I mean, who knows how long the relationship is going to be beneficial to both of you. Like, you might be working on a short-term project together just to see how things go, or this could become, a lifelong journey of co-creating with a person in your life. But whatever it is, I think you don't want to do this alone right now, unless this is you kind of tuning in more like spiritually and working with guides, or working with your own kind of your own intuition more, or something like that. Because in that sense, those cards could be relating to a different aspect of yourself. There is, I want to point out, some really spiritual energy coming through in the third week of the month for you with the Empress and the High Priestess. I feel like some kind of ritual would be really beneficial for you, Leo, especially because we're going to have just had that powerful lunar eclipse on the 10th of January. And then, as we go into, January 14th to, January 21st, right around that time, I think that you're going to want to plan some kind of a self-care ritual, or some kind of a ceremony that you can do for yourself, or even just something nice for yourself, like maybe go get a facial, or go do something good for your wardrobe. Maybe grab a couple new shirts or suits, or do something that you have needed to do for yourself for a long time. This could be in a practical sense, because you do have these practical pentacle cards coming up, but it could also be something purely personal and spiritual, or personally creative as well. But I think you need to take some time for yourself in the third week of January. There could be a little bit more downtime at that period of the month anyway, for whatever reason, because you do have these two ladies who are kind of seated, so they don't really look to me like they're hard at work. So you might get a little bit of a breather, especially if you had a really busy holiday season and then you're kind of still trying to keep up with the work like I am, maybe by the third week of January, things will have calmed down enough for you to actually take some decent time for yourself. So I think that'd be a great use of your extra time and energy at that period of the month. Like I said, the third approximate week of the month. And overall, I see you advancing a lot financially, and I see potential business partnerships, or even just, temporary collaborations being a really good fit for you right now, as long as you get a good vibe from the whole thing, okay? So that's what I'm getting, Leo. I hope this reading has been helpful to you. Please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this reading, and leave me a little fire emoji down below if you have emojis on your keyboard, or if you're on your phone. I would absolutely love to know that you guys are still listening in with me, and I just love getting those comments. So keep them coming. Let me know you're still here with a little fire emoji, or you can just say, I'm still here. And I'm sending you so much love. I hope that you have an amazing beginning to your year and a very blessed month in January. And yeah, please go ahead and share this video with a Leo friend if you think they would benefit. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here. Mwah. Bye, Leo.